This is the Office Manager Diaries, a podcast all about the highs and the lows of professionals in office management around the world. We'll delve into their career journeys and diaries where they'll share their stories, tips for success, and only things office managers understand. Enjoy, and please remember to give us a follow. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode in our second season of the Office Manager Diaries. It's Friday, we are ready to record, and I'm delighted to be joined by Pippa Hadley, who is the Head of Operations from C&C Search. Hi Pippa.
Hi, Hannah. How are you?
I am really good, thank you. It literally is a thank God it's Friday day for me today. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm sort of waiting for spring to arrive as well, thinking when is the warmer weather going to come, but it's not yet. But yeah, thank goodness it's Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. I mean, we do have international listeners, and for whatever reason, spring has not sprung here in the UK. And I think it was 6 degrees when I took my dog out this morning, which is bitter.
Yeah,
So
still in
let's
the scarves.
yeah, exactly. I put my winter gloves away when we had that one hot day over the weekend a few weeks ago, and they are back out and they are firmly on my side. The scarves, the gloves, it's all there. So I'm really excited to have you on. Can you tell us more about you and more specifically your role there at C&C, please, Pippa?
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, I've been with C&C for 5 years this year, which I just absolutely cannot believe. And I think just the way in which my role has progressed over the last 5 years has been quite interesting to watch. Like looking back now, when I was invited on the pod, I couldn't quite believe it and thought, me, really me? But yeah, when I think back about my journey with C&C and how far we as a business have come in 5 years, we've just celebrated our 10th anniversary in April, which was hugely exciting and such a milestone. And to be able to think I've been there for 5 years was really crazy, really.
These milestones are amazing, aren't they? Like I remember when our business turned 5, I think we had a party last year actually for the Portals anniversary, and I saw the LinkedIn post about C&C turning 10. And it is just incredible how quickly time flies when you are having a good time professionally in these roles. And I would guess the same for you. You must enjoy it to have that longevity there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just the brilliant thing about being in office management, and obviously I look after the operations as well. I'm really fortunate to be in a small business, and I do think that is a really good element for me in my role. It's just because I have so much oversight of so many different things. I've learned so much because I'm able to look at so many different elements within office management and doing that for C&C because my role can cross everything from the daily operations, the office, meeting rooms, through to finance, logistic, events. So it's all encompassing. And I think I'm really lucky to have that because we are a small business and we are so empowered as a team. So Lucy, who I know you know so well, our founder, she's such an inspiration and has really let me run with a lot of project, which makes it so easy for me, but also means that time goes very quickly. So my 5 years at C&C has flown by.
Yeah, and that to-do list keeps growing, I'm guessing, with every day that passes. So what does a day look like for you? Tell us about these typical things, because I think you get involved in social media and marketing elements as well. So give us that rundown of what's involved in your role if you can.
Yeah, I mean, no one week will look the same. I think it totally depends on what we've got in the diary, what's coming up. And obviously, we are recruitment. It is super fast paced. There's a lot going on for the recruiters, the consultants, constantly trying to match the candidates who are really looking to find their perfect next role, and also trying to find our clients the perfect match for their roles that they've got. And then we've also got the learning and development side as well. So Lucy is a multi-award winning accredited coach and speaker. So being able to support her on that side is a massive part of my week, and meeting with clients to discuss their learning and development needs. So it gives an extra arm to my role and another few things to add to the to-do list. I'd say a typical day. I don't know if I have a typical day actually. That's quite hard to answer. I'm not sure if us office managers do, but we'll look at everything to do with how the team are getting on in the office, what events. If I've got an event that's that week, it's definitely going to be at the forefront of my mind, making sure that everyone's where they need to be. I think the biggest thing about my role and making sure that I do weekly is just ensuring that everyone in the office knows where they need to be and when. and just making sure that we have everything that we need in order for the business to run seamlessly. So that will vary and that will change. And obviously, the social media and marketing you've just mentioned, we're really lucky to work with an excellent social media consultant who helps me when I'm not feeling so creative. So I can't take full credit for that, the brilliant posts that they put together for us. But obviously, the regular meetings with them and making sure that I'm sending them the content that they need to do their job. So yeah, no one week or one day is the same.
Sponsored today by Art in Offices. Art in Offices provide artwork for workspaces to enrich your space, inspire your people, and empower your brand. We work with a wide range of artists in all styles and mediums to cover all price points and project needs. You can also meet our artists and have creative events in your office. Did you know that offices with plants and art see wellness amongst staff go up by up to 42%? And that has a knock-on effect, increasing productivity by 35%. And that's because an enriched and inspiring workspace makes people happy, and happy people do their best work. If you're curious about putting art into your office, contact us today for a free consultation at www.artinoffices.com. Art in Offices. Art is good for business.
In terms of the office, I mean, share more about that. Where are you guys located? What's the office space like? And maybe a little bit more while you're there about C&C Search, how many people are there and so on.
Well, I've been on a bit of a wild ride with our office over the last few years. I think the pandemic definitely shook everything up, and not just for us, but for a lot of businesses and other office managers that I speak to. I think I'm on office move number 4 now since the pandemic, and I think it has been for the better. I've loved every single office move. I've learned so much along the way. We are currently in Holborn, so central London, and we are in a serviced office. So we actually went on our B Corp journey last year, and finding a B Corp office space was hugely important for us and making sure that their values aligned with ours. So that was a move that we decided to make just so that we could be a true and through B Corp, really. But we only moved next door. So we were in Holborn and we're still in Holborn, and it's a great location. But yeah, I think we've certainly been on an office move journey since the pandemic. Shall I leave it there?
The company itself, is it work life by any chance in Holborn, the B Corp that you're in, or is it something else?
No, we're actually in Uncommon. So they've got a few buildings, but they actually acquired this one in Holborn and they own the whole building, which is brilliant. Previously, we were in a serviced office, but they only owned a couple of floors. But it's actually made a massive difference for us, the fact that they own the whole building, just in terms of access, information, speed of getting anything fixed or rectified. I'd hugely recommend finding someone who owns the building because it's been a massive help to me. So C&C are obviously an all-female team, and we're only a small team. We're a team of about 20. So we've got a hybrid setup. So the office is beautiful for that. You walk in and there's lots of plants, greenery, cafes, wine bars in the evening. And I think making sure that we've got those elements, especially with hybrid working, was really important to us because when you're in the office, you want to love being in the office. And I want to make sure that all of the team want to be there on the days that they're in or they choose to be in. So location being central, the vibe, the feel, the look, it's obviously very modern, very sleek, very green. All everything in there is very B Corp. And I think everyone's so much happier since the move. And I think the fact that sometimes an office move can really reinvigorate a team and add a fresh feel. So it was we were lucky we were able to move in 2024. So a new year, new start for C&C.
You've mentioned there and you've alluded to the fact that I do know Lucy Chamberlain very well. I've known her for a very long time and we have lots of interaction because she's been a judge and spoken at some of our events. There's all sorts that we collaborate and work closely together on. And therefore, you and I, as a result, have had a fair amount of interaction over the years, Pippa. What is it like to work with her and also in an all-female business?
Well, working for Lucy is so amazing. I mean, she is literally a cheerleader for all of us. And I think that's such a true reflection of the fact that Lucy is all about women supporting women and female founded businesses supporting female founded businesses. And that's something that we actively strive to do in every way that we can. Lucy is so entrepreneurial, have so many ideas. And sometimes I think, how am I going to pull this off? How am I going to make this happen? But we always find a way. It's just so supportive. And I think as a team, we're really attached to our values. And I think, be it an all-female team, sometimes people think, oh God, that must be a lot. How does that work? What's the dynamic like? But we really are we're all so different and so unique, but also supportive of one another, because we do really value everyone's opinion. And I think that's the brilliant thing, is that Lucy's all about giving women a seat at the table, and every single one of us has that opportunity under Lucy. And I mean, even just being here with you today is such a reflection of how much Lucy supported me and pushed me to be better in my role, because I was nominated for the Office Management Awards, which I just was so shocked by and couldn't believe that I was finally there actually being nominated, rather than just coordinating Lucy's interviews when she's been a judge with you before. So I think, if anything, an all-female team is so supportive, and I think it's just the fact that Lucy's curated that, and it comes from her and her messaging and the way that she is with the team, and so everyone mirrors that behaviour.
I can absolutely see that from the outside looking in, and I've met an awful lot of the team as well, because we do work closely with C&C Search. So what about how, perhaps a bit more now, on how the team interact? What is the policy and process there around hybrid working? Again, you've touched on it already when you were talking about the office moves and that environment and wanting to make it welcoming, but how do they interact with the office, with you, and what is your policy and process around hybrid?
So hybrid working for C&C, I think, has really grown over the years. It's evolved. We've gone from thinking that it should mean one thing to actually it can be whatever it means to that individual, and everyone's situation's different. So our policy around hybrid working is that if you want to be in the office 5 days a week, absolutely you can be. We've got that space. It's really key in our messaging that it's what will work best for that individual, because some people prefer being in the office environment. Everyone can sort of see when anyone's in at any one time. We try and keep teams together if they have anything going on. Obviously, on our 10th anniversary, we were all in, so it was very loud in the office, which it hasn't been that loud for such a long time, but it was great. We even had people saying on the phone, like, oh God, I can hear everything. But yeah, in terms of a policy for hybrid working, it's just making sure that it works for each individual. And I think if it works for everyone in the team, again, I'm talking from a small business perspective. So we're lucky in the sense that we aren't having to worry too much about massive teams that have to be together on certain days. But I think as long as it works for each individual, you're going to have a really motivated team, because they're all able to work in the way that works best for them. And I do think that since the pandemic, and obviously us adopting such a flexible hybrid working model, especially in recent years, has made it such a success for us.
So there's no minimum, maximum amount of days to come in. People can work from home a week if they want to, because this is such a hot topic, I think, for people in our roles in office management, as to what the company wants to happen versus what happens in reality. Because the people at the top, and I appreciate it's a small business, will often say, we want them in 2-3 days a week, and then people aren't coming in 2-3 days a week, and then the office manager or ops manager in your case is looked at, where people say, well, fix it, get them in. Do you have that kind of piece or challenge, I guess, there? Or is it come in whenever you want and there's no minimum?
I think look at your office space and what you're offering to people when they do come in. We obviously do have conversations where collaboration and connection with other team members, of course, it's important for you to see them. And of course, it's important for you to be in the office together and to be able to work as one team in one place. But I think if you can look at your office environment and think that that's going to bring people in, look at what you're offering, what's available to them, and why they should be there. And that will help to actually drive people into the office. I know when we moved office space, obviously now it's absolutely stunning, it's gorgeous, it offers so much and is such a wonderful place to work from, that there is an uptake in people choosing to be in. And that's purely, obviously we don't enforce that people have to come in. We do advise a minimum of 2 to 3 days, but again, it's flexible, because people have life and life gets in the way, and your car may need an MOT, or you may have a doctor's appointment, or your kid's got something on at school, and you do have to flex and bend that, and we do allow for that, so that will amend people's days. But I think if you can offer people a wonderful place to work from, they'll choose to be there, and that we've really noticed.
It makes a lot of sense on that. And what about the interaction? How do the team interact with you and with that office?
We're really lucky that it's a serviced office, because a lot of the issues within the office itself, or say, for example, this week we had an issue with the air conditioning unit in our office space, they can go straight downstairs and it can be resolved there and then. Obviously, I'm always aware of these and I'm looped in, and I can step in where needed. But the interaction with me in the office, they love it when I'm in. I'm there again 2 days next week, and I'll often come in and see that something's not working or a screen's switched off and wonder why. But we're really lucky that we've got the support of Uncommon, who are so reactive in helping us.
That's the beauty, isn't it? I guess at least versus a serviced office, is you've got that big team behind you backing some of the elements there, and a lot of the services and supplies, I suppose, as well. So on that point, what else do you do at C&C? How else do you support the business? If we think about a typical office management role, do you do health and safety, facilities management, supplies, stock? You mentioned room booking management. Where else does that go? Procurement and everything else?
Yeah, I think obviously all of our suppliers and business contracts would be looked at by myself. So making sure that the role for me is very much enabling my other colleagues to be able to do their jobs, and to do their jobs in the most efficient and effective way possible, and let them be successful. And I think that translates in other businesses and industries as well, no matter what the size. The office manager is such a critical role in making sure that things come together. So whether that be that I'm looking at our telephone provider or our CRM provider, or any of the different add-ons and things that they need, like as a recruiter would need to be able to do their jobs for job boards, things like that, ensuring that they've got all of the communications and marketing materials that they need weekly to send to their candidates and clients, so they know what's coming up and they can communicate that where necessary to their network, and actually enable them to be of better help to their candidates and clients on a regular basis. I think that's a massive factor for me, and making sure that they've got everything on a Monday that sets them up for success for the week. That's often a lot of my Friday, making sure that they've got that ready. Yeah, that's a huge part.
So what challenges, Pippa, have you personally had in your career to date? You've spent most of your career in and around the administrative profession. And how have perhaps others, you've mentioned obviously Lucy there already, but how have others supported you in overcoming those challenges?
I think my biggest challenge was probably finding my feet in the role and really understanding where my role as an administrator fit. And I think there's such a lot of noise around someone being just an admin. And it's really hard for that to get into your head and you to think, actually, is that my role? Is that all I do? But until you start to really sit back and look at the impact that you're having for an organization. I know where I worked previously, I graduated and I got my first job as an office administrator. And it was obviously a wonderful eye-opening experience for me. My first office role, really one where I was, again, small business, so able to be exposed to quite a lot of things, a very different industry to where I am now. But I think the support of others is always key. And I moved on to C&C and my roles evolved so much there. And I think no matter what the challenge is, when it comes up, it's the support of the people around you. And I know I've mentioned it already with how supportive the team are, and an all-female team, and how we're all very empowering, and we're there to look after one another, as well as everyone's going to have good and bad days. And I think that support's obviously essential. I'm trying to think of a specific example, but I just think that I don't look at the challenges that I've had at C&C as challenges, perhaps, because we always look at finding a solution and working through the problem. And once I really understood the impact that I have, and I've got a team that really always sing my praises and build me up and are aware of what I do for them, which is really nice. And I don't think that everyone has that.
No, they certainly don't. Some people are in fairly toxic environments, unfortunately, which is often the leadership that create that, the catalyst for it. So
It's very easy to be isolated as an office manager or anyone in an administrative role.
yeah, it absolutely is. And I think that just an admin thing, it has come up an awful lot. And I personally have probably talked about this on the podcast before, don't really like office managers to be wrapped up in as administrators. I think it is downplaying the value and the impact that they have on the role. And that's not to say administrators don't have impact. I think it's a very different role once you really get into it, and needs training and skills and things that typically, you know, I think of administrators as people that sit and do database work all day long, and you know, that junior level that we all probably entered in at. So I think it downplays the role a bit, and I know there's a number of office managers that have contacted me saying, I really don't like being called an administrator in this role. It's like when people wrap us up as HR as well, which really pees me off. People say, oh, you do HR, and you're like, no.
I think an office manager sees everything. An office manager isn't just an administrator, because they see everything that goes on within an office and they manage the entire space. When people flip that on its head and they realize that that person knows everything, sees everything, understands everything, is involved in the majority of what goes on within that office floor, then it's really when you see the impact that you have in your role. So I totally agree. They're not just an admin, they know more than most.
Yeah, they do admin in their role. Everyone does admin generally, but I saw a post from somebody that I follow who's in France, and she said, because it's just past International Administrative Professionals Day, she said, do not say happy admin day to me, because I will not be happy. And she's an office manager. Yeah, the opinions are out there, but you're right, it's a very isolated role, and challenges typically can come about because of that. I'm carrying on this week with another tip to finish off a piece for now on strategic partnership and partnering. I mentioned in season 1 about management information packs and the value that these tools can have, and I want to just think, or to get you guys to think a little bit more about how you can take them further to align more strategically with your businesses. What sort of other things can you put in there, but also what questions can you ask when you're presenting your MI pack to your line manager or CEO or MD to help support you in your role and get you to be more strategic? Would you be comfortable having a conversation with your line manager and saying, I want to try and strategically partner with you, with the business. Can you help me do that? And are you happy for me to ask you questions to help me understand how I can do that? And can you mentor me to do that? Or separately, can you have a mentor who isn't your manager, someone who perhaps knows your profession, i.e. admin or office management, whatever it might be, and or the industry that your business is in, who can therefore, you know, I mentioned it in the last episode, tell you a little bit more about what is happening in the industry. Would you feel comfortable knocking on the door of your executives, the CEO or MD, particularly if you aren't managed directly by them? And I know in some office management roles you are, but if you're not, are you comfortable asking them, where is the business heading? How can I further support that and help steer the business in the direction that you want to take it? What are the business's missions, values, objectives? And then look at how you can align your own missions, values, and objectives, certainly, especially if you have your appraisal, you can tie it into that to meet the business's overarching missions, values, objectives. This is a really effective strategic partnership strategy to have in place and implement to really understand what impact you can have and how you can better influence the business within the confines of your role, which we know are more or less limitless. So how about personal development now? How important is that for you? But also, how is it treated there within the business and in your role in general? What's the perception of your role, and how do they ensure that you are personally and professionally developed there?
Yeah, I think, again, I am in a very lucky position where I'm able to say that I would like to be involved in XYZ whenever it comes up. So whatever that project may be, or any of the ideas that come up, I'm able to spearhead and run with those almost on my own if I'd like, and then get the support of the team where required. I think we all love learning at C&C, and obviously we've got the learning and development arm. We want everyone to love learning and to continually to professionally develop. And I think you can't just stop ever. That's massively important to me. I mean, wanting to grow in your role. I think I've grown in my role quite quickly, just in terms of I don't ever want to just stop at, okay, this is my role, I'm happy with it here. I always want to be doing more and learning more and involved in more aspects of the business and understanding more around that and how I can grow there. So professional development, absolutely key for me. And I think no matter what I say I want to do, Lucy's going to smile and nod and then say, yeah, do it, and then pick me up if it goes wrong. So yeah, very lucky.
Definitely a fairly unique, fortunate position, which I know for some people it's the case as well, that they will have that 100% backing and someone, like you say, lifting you up and wrapping their arms around you, you know, metaphorically, when things go wrong and you go off the path. And but there are people out there who aren't as fortunate, because they're in roles where, again, it's seen as a just an admin, or you don't need training and development, just get on with it kind of position. So it's we're trying to shift that, I guess, aren't we, both through things like you say, the academy, and everybody should love learning, but also in making it affordable and accessible for people in these roles.
And I think having the backing of your team too. I think I had a call from someone in my network the other day, and I couldn't quite believe that they were calling me, but they were so lovely, and they said, I really admire the progression that you've had in C&C, and I'd really like to mirror that in my role. Can you help me? And it's you really, the support of your organization is key. And I think businesses will start to realize the impact of their office managers and people in roles similar to mine. And if they don't, they're going to lose really good talent. And you can't expect someone to just stop and sit and do the same thing over and over, because that's not the role of an office manager. They're doing so much more than a business can ever really realize.
Yeah, and the role evolves, doesn't it? It evolves with technology and the change because of hybrid, and wellness has come up.
And ages of the business as well. So as the business develops, the office manager's
Yeah,
role
the
will.
growth, the direction they're taking, mergers and impacts like that. There's a whole host of things. It's the pestle piece, isn't it, where that starts to impact it as well. I mean, you've just mentioned there about this phone call that you've had, which was one of my later questions, but let's skip to it now. What advice would you then give to people who, like this person, pick up the phone to you and say, I'm aspiring to be like you, or to take the similar trajectory in terms of career that you have had, get into a role similar to yours, etc. What advice did you give, or would you give to people like that?
Well, going back to that conversation, I think confidence is always king. And sometimes I think it goes, I know we've mentioned it, that just an admin piece or just sitting, not really understanding the impact of your role and the value that you have for that organization. That's where I always start. Look at your job description, look at what you do. Is your job description a true reflection of what you're doing day to day? The person I had the conversation with sent me theirs, and I sent it back for some edits, because is it covering and is it encompassing every element of what you do? Like you said, what do you do day to day? My answer is no day's the same. How do you translate that onto a job description? Start there, put together what your job description really looks like and what you really do for that business, and take that to your next one-to-one, take that to your review meetings, and really outline everything that you're involved in, and push for what you rightly deserve in a business and the recognition that you deserve. If you're running with a project and it's under someone else's name, make sure that your name's on there too. Make sure that if you're looking after an office move and coordinating things, that people know that that's all happening because of you. Be there on that first day when everyone's back into the office. Walk up to them, sit at their desks. How's everything working? Really make sure that you're being seen and heard within an organization, because that's how you're going to push yourself through. Unfortunately, you won't just be noticed just for doing your job and going home and all the extra bits that you do. I think you really do have to make sure that you're showing that and writing it down and making sure that you can really speak up for your role and your responsibilities to be seen.
That piece there that you mentioned around going and sitting with people, what's working, what isn't, and essentially raising your profile, right? So being visible, and off the back of raising your profile and building that internal network, you will get more recognition, people will understand your role more, but also then it will elevate you and give you the confidence that what you're doing matters and has an impact.
And ask for help as well. I think, like I said, she just picked up the phone and gave me a call and said, how do I do this? Your network will know so much, the people that you know in similar situations to you, and they'll want to help, because I've obviously got a wonderful network of people that I lean on in similar positions. And when we went through our B Corp journey, and I know that they've reached out to me since about their B Corp journey and how they can get involved and how they can do that. And advice from others is always going to be so valuable. So don't be afraid to ask for that help. And also, I'm the worst for sharing on social media. I'm not one to ever post, but it just was such a demonstration of how wonderful the people that you're connected to on LinkedIn really are. Because when I posted about my nomination for the Office Management Awards, people were so supportive and so lovely. And I couldn't believe the response I had to just one post that I put on there. So, yeah, I think reach out to your network, speak to anyone in a similar position, because you will get those golden nuggets of information that you can use to transform your career.
Yes. It's funny, isn't it? When you don't post regularly, you probably think you're not going to get that visibility, but actually, I think especially when it's something that is recognition, rewarding, praise, celebrating, etc., that it does get it. And people are, I remember doing a post, I think it was in 2021, where I was really stuck in this business because COVID had impacted my consultancy side of the business. The portal, the office management portal, had elevated so much because it was online, and I think people were looking more online and looking to connect. But the consultancy hit such a low, I didn't think that I would be able to bring it back. And that was also because I had a 6-month-old baby when the pandemic started and was due to come back from maternity leave and really ramp it up. And yeah, a lot of businesses pulled the work that we were doing for them. And I put a post of help out there, which I've never done. I'm quite a strong person, and I always see it as a little bit of a weakness when you ask for help, albeit I always ask for help in a professional setting, funnily enough, in the sense of, I don't know how to do this, can you talk me through it, what's this mean, what's that mean, etc. I've always been that kind of detail person, but I think asking on such a public platform with, a fair amount of followers, but people came running, and it was really emotional to see that. And I guess much like the experience for you, where you think, oh my God, there are people out there that see it, that feel it, that get it, and that respect and value me, or appreciate and want to congratulate you in your instance. So is that the feeling you had?
Yeah, it's just so overwhelming, because you just think no one cares about me, or no one, or what I'm sharing, or that's not important to anyone else. But that's not actually why they're posting. They're posting because they know you and they're proud, or they're celebrating you. And it is, I think, if you're thinking about the fact that if something happens for you and it's wonderful, absolutely share it, because one, you've got a record of what you've done and how brilliant it was, and you've got the support of a wonderful community. I mean, I know mine was only on LinkedIn, but it's great to see that your professional network really support you in the same way as your friends and family would.
Yeah, totally. You have mentioned there about B Corp, so let's go to that before we get to the famous diary extract. But you have gone through B Corp recently. Tell us more about that process, please, because that is a fairly big topic in itself.
Yeah, I mean, B Corp, what a journey. It's not for the faint-hearted, I will tell you that. So if you're looking to start your B Corp journey, I would absolutely reach out to someone who is already B Corp certified, so you can get a really good understanding of what being a B Corp is and what that process will look like. For us, obviously, you go through 5 different categories. You start with an assessment. There's hundreds of questions. You'll need a lot of information, but you can just start with the assessment. So it's a good place, it's a good foundation, the B Impact assessment. Log in, have a look, see what's required, reach out to your network, see who is already B Corp certified, who can offer a helping hand and a bit of knowledge and wisdom. We certainly needed it, and I'm really grateful that I had that support. But it is certainly a lengthy process. It took us about a year to become B Corp certified. We were certified from December, which was so exciting, and obviously tied in very nicely with the start of the new year in the new office, and everything very B Corp. But yeah, it looks through all elements of your office environment, how you support your workers, your customers, your governance, your policies, processes, everything like that. You will go into the nitty-gritty of everything, but you will be a better business for it. They'll need an office manager to help do the assessment. I'm telling you that now.
Yes, we often we teach a little bit about B Corp in the training courses that we have, and that people in the room that have done it versus people that haven't give that fair warning that you will get involved if they ever decide they're going B Corp. You as the office manager will be involved, which is why it's in our course. But yeah, it's quite a journey to go on, isn't it, for sure? And doing that impact assessment is really key as a starting point, because it might be that you are way off where you actually need to be to get the B Corp certification. So it's worth doing the assessment initially. Okay, can you now please, Pippa, share something from your office manager diary, your you won't believe it but moment?
God, my won't believe it but moment for office management. I mean, I've probably got a reel of bloopers for office management mistakes and all things like that. But I think my biggest I won't believe it but moment would be, obviously I was an office administrator before, and I tried to leave the office administration world. I tried to leave being an office manager, came to C&C as a candidate looking for a new role, something new, something fresh. They offered me a job. Very luckily, Lucy took me in as a recruiter, would you believe? And I've already found my way back to being an office manager. I think when you are someone who can do this role and you can be that person for an office, you will always find your way back. You can't help it. I think even when I was a recruiter, you were offering a lending hand to whoever needed it in the office, or supporting with the IT, or making sure that an event would run, or being there when something's gone wrong with a supply, or your grocery order hasn't arrived, or you will always be dipping your toe in if you try to leave. So my advice is to go full hog into being an office manager, because I tried to leave and look at me now, nominated for Office Manager of the Year award for the office management group. So yeah, that's my I won't believe it but moment.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I've never tried to leave office management, but I certainly tried to leave assistant roles and somehow managed to get dragged back into those time after time. And I was like, I am never booking anyone's travel ever again.
Yeah, no, booking travel is not for me, but
No.
I'll fix someone's IT issue.
Yeah, I do think there's that fact, isn't there, where if you are that way inclined as a person, where you are personable, approachable, supportive, nurturing, you care, like it's ultimately you give a shit about people and the fact that they, like you say, can or can't do their job, you'll always go back into it in that kind of environment. So to finish on, what is it that you enjoy the most about office and operations management, please, Pippa?
I think for me, it comes back to the fact that being in office and operations management, you really do see everything. I know I mentioned it before when we were talking about the role of the office manager, and I said that they see everything and we know everything. And I think that's so true across the board in organizations. I think the best thing about being in those roles is how much you can really get involved in if you want to, and how much you can really push yourself through a business and spread your fingers everywhere and dabble into all of the projects and everything that's going on, because ultimately a lot of them fall back to you and your core responsibilities, what you're doing. And the fact that no week's the same and the weeks fly by is a credit to the role, and how much you can really do within that and the impact that you can have. So I think for me, the best bit is always the people. And I know I'm so lucky to have such a great team and a supportive team, and Lucy, who is the most incredible boss. But I do think that when you know, like you touched on there, about how much, if you are one of those people and you are that way inclined, you will always be, I think own it, really push for it, for everything that you want, for everything that you do. Make sure that you're screaming it from the rooftops of your office building, because it is such an incredible role. And I just, yeah, I love being an office and operations manager.
Set for life, that's it.
I'm not going anywhere.
We'll see you at C&C in another 5, 10, 15 years then.
Yeah, going grey.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for joining me on the Office Manager Diaries, Pippa. It's been lovely to catch up properly and get to know you and more about your role. So thank you for giving up your time.
No, it was amazing. I still can't believe that you invited me on here. So I feel so privileged. Thank you for having me, Hannah.
Pleasure. This episode is sponsored by the Office Management Portal, our free online membership platform aimed at connecting, supporting and empowering office managers in a simple-to-use, all-in-one self-service resource. You can sign up right now at www.theofficemanagementportal.com and click the sign up button in the top right. If you want to upgrade your account to our premium membership at any time for unlimited downloadable templates and monthly expert masterclasses, use the code THEOMD for 25% off. That's THEOMD for Office Manager Diaries for 25% off. Thank you for listening.